Hi there, I'm Scott. Have you ever watched Ratatouille? You know, that funny animated comedy film by Pixar? About a friendship between a French boy and a mouse? Well, that's not just a fairy tale in the movies. Back when I was 12, I had strudel. No, not the German pastry, although that is very tasty, but a rodent. A rat that went by the name of Strudel. Because, well, Strudel was a fat rat. He was born to a lab rat living in my middle school science room. They were going to get rid of the babies, but I adopted one and brought it home. I can still remember holding him, that warm, tiny ball of pink hairless skin in my palms. He grew fast and very hairy, though. Strudel loved me. He would get into my clothes and run all around underneath. Shirts, pants, socks, across my shoulders, over my head. When he would do that, it would tickle me, making me laugh. And oh my gosh, his little head would poke out at some of the most inopportune times and could have easily really scared most people. I would sometimes bring him along with me to school so that he didn't feel too lonely and trapped at home. He would hide in my backpack during classes. I left a small hole for him to breathe through and watch what was going on the outside. I also fed him through there with my snacks my mom gave me. Whenever I took him out to show my classmates, most girls were like, "Can I hold this cutie?" There was one time he somehow managed to slip away and ran all around the classroom like crazy, bumping into my classmates' feet and scaring the heck out of our teacher, Mrs. Robinson. If you could have only seen her face at that moment. It turns out that she was allergic to fur and couldn't stand animals in general. Some of the guys were not very fond of Strudel either. They started to think I was some kind of rat freak, and I ended up being nicknamed Rat Boy. Maybe they were just jealous that Strudel and I now got all the girls' attention. It's not that I cared too much about what these guys said or thought. It's just that for me, he wasn't really a pet and was more like a friend. I loved watching him peacefully sleep. He had these little rat snores. It made me feel safe, cozy, and comfortable having him curled up beside me. Just having him be there helped me go through some of my darkest times and deal with my anxiety problems after my father died in a car accident a couple of months later. Sometimes Strudel would escape from his cage and live in the walls, sometimes for a few days at a time. I was worried that he might never come back, settling down with other rats or getting killed by some homeless evil cat with nothing better to do. But eventually, and thankfully, he would always find his way back to me. Sometimes I would wake up and he'd be snoring next to me on my pillow, or be under the covers. It sounds sort of funny, right? But hey, I knew he was a smart rat. I could tell by the look in his eyes. They weren't the eyes of the average wild rat. There was something so human about them, like he actually understood things when I would talk to him. He would always come home when I called his name, but only for me. I gotta admit, he did have some trust issues. And it's no wonder. My mom would say she didn't like me hanging around a stupid dirty rat, as she called him. She was terrified of him, fearing that he might be carrying some kind of infection and would eventually get us all sick or something. She especially didn't like it when he would live inside the walls. My mom is so paranoid. What is he? The alien from the horror movies that's going to sneak into your mouth while you're asleep and then eat you from the inside out? No, he's just a tiny little guy running around doing no harm whatsoever. So there was one time when he escaped again and didn't show up for a week. I became really anxious about figuring out where my little friend might be. I was hoping he was okay, and that maybe he had set up a rat colony of his own somewhere, down in the sewers, or married some girl rat, and they were together on their honeymoon somewhere in Paris, eating fromage on top of the Eiffel Tower. A couple of days later, I accidentally overheard my mom and my brother whispering about something. I didn't know what it was, but I knew something bad was going down. Days passed, and Strudel was still nowhere to be found. One day I got home from school, and my brother came up to me and told me that he had found Strudel drowned in the toilet. The toilet? Who drowns in a toilet? I felt so hurt and lonely now, as if I had been loaded into a cannon and shot right out into space. I would burst out crying in public over the next few weeks. They told me they had no idea how it could have happened, but I always suspected murder, a plot between my mother and my brother. But I never confronted them about it for some reason. It's now 3 years later, and Strudel still holds a special place in my heart. My friend was just a little rat, but he taught me a lot. That life is not fair, and some people can be biased and cruel. But more importantly, he taught me that you might lose a friend or a loved one in life, but love and friendship never truly die. They stay with you throughout your life, just in a different way. They live inside of you. And even though I can't see Strudel, I know that he's somewhere in there, living in the walls of my heart, looking out for me through the holes he made. Has your pet taught you a lesson too? If it has, please share your story in the comments down below. Give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our YouTube channel.